Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Big Blonde and Beautiful, the podcast. If you're new here, my name's Carolina Howie, and each week I pick a piece of media with fat representation in it, and I talk about whether or not I think it's positive or negative. This week we're going to talk about the movie Uncle Buck, but first I have a very special guest with me here today. Hi.
Hi.
Would you mind telling our listeners a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Rihanna. I'm a full-time plus-size model. I also help my husband out with his business. He's in IT. I have two rabbits who I absolutely adore. I live in Pennsylvania, and honestly, I'm not too much of an interesting person.
Not true. If you don't mind me asking, what made you decide to start posting body positive content?
Good question. Because I want others who look like me or live in bigger bodies be able to be represented in the media more. Like that truly is it. Growing up, I didn't have much representation.
Mm-hmm.
And the representation that we did have, what we're going to be discussing soon, isn't always positive.
Did you just stumble upon doing it, or did you make I'm gonna create this content?
I was definitely influenced a lot, especially by Tess Holiday.
Yes.
Tess Holiday, Ashley Graham, yeah, honestly, a lot of people. It's so many people I can't even think of the names right now. But truly reading Tess Holiday's book and
Mm-hmm.
Ashley Graham's book, I love both of their books. Way back then is what actually got me really started into wanting to put myself out there.
I haven't read either of their books. I need to read them.
Oh, they're
I
really
love a
good.
good memoir, so I'm
I
sure
do
I'll like
too.
it. All right. So, but like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about the movie Uncle Buck. And if our listeners haven't watched the movie, I'm going to give a little synopsis before we get started. So, when Cindy and her husband Bob have to leave town for a family emergency, there's only one person available to babysit their three kids: Bob's lazy, carefree brother Buck, played by John Candy. While he immediately gets along with the two younger ones, Buck must change his bachelor lifestyle if he wants to be a responsible caregiver for the angst-filled teenager Tia. Initial thoughts about the movie?
I'm like torn.
Oh, okay. What has you torn?
I'm torn on it being, yes, a little fat phobic,
Mm-hmm.
and especially for during that time period back in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
you know, fat representation wasn't a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that those that were represented were usually fat men because they were seen as funny.
Yeah. That's definitely a stereotype and a common trope, is like the kind of dumb fat man that's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm also torn because at the same time, he's also a hero.
Mm-hmm.
He has that hero thing going on, that arc. So I'm kind of like, I'm torn. It's like, I'm not sure yet how I feel about it truly. And I grew up with 80s and 90s movies with my mother. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Same.
like, yeah.
I I don't know. I definitely agree with what you said about it mostly being like fat men being funny and that
Hmm.
sort of role. But I did read when I was doing research for this episode that some other comedians who were not fat were considered for the role. And I
Mm.
think that's probably why I don't see it as being too heavy on the focusing on his body. There's that one scene where he's at the school and the urinals are really small compared to him. But is it a grade school that he's at or high school?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So grade school toilets in general are just
They're
small.
super tiny.
I work at a daycare, the toilet in the twos and threes room, I would look exactly the same standing next to that as he does standing next to the urinals. So it just there's that, and so I don't know. It's definitely
It's not easy to,
complicated.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like one way or the other. It's not black and white.
Hmm. Absolutely. I do think one thing to highlight that's important is the fact that he is sought after by
Yeah.
women, which, there's always the whole fat people can't find love thing. And
Hmm.
he no matter how hurtful it is to her, not talking about that, but he is actively choosing to be like a single bachelor.
Right.
So it's not like he doesn't have people interested in being committed in a
Right.
relationship with him.
Right.
He personally is just like not mature enough to make that decision.
Yeah, that's for sure. Commitment issues.
Oh, I also had like a question I wanted to discuss
Yeah.
because I was wondering, is it less of a big deal for men to be fat, or is it just not accepted to be talked about?
That
Yeah.
is a really good question.
Mhm.
And actually, that was a big note of mine too.
Yeah.
And like what I mentioned earlier, fat men are, a lot in comedies in the media, fat men are funny. Like, look at Jonah Hill.
Mhm.
I mean, now he's lost an immense amount of weight, but
Yeah.
before, he was seen as that type of type.
Mhm.
And then fat women are usually seen as slobs and gross.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then also have I don't, real quick, there were no fat women.
No.
Not one fat woman in this movie. So, that
Yeah.
says a lot.
And I don't know if I can't remember if there were any other fat men. I don't
No,
think so. No, it was just him.
just one.
So, yeah. Um that sucks. I mean, the fact that Hollywood doesn't even cast like fat extras most of the time is annoying because it's honestly realistic. I don't understand why there isn't more representation because people are hungry for it. I mean, if you look at the Barbie movie, like
Mhm.
that did so well because women were able to see, well, I mean, it's Barbie, it's like iconic, but they were able to see themselves as the main character and
See
she
yourself
did it.
represented.
Yeah, and she didn't get with the guy at the end,
Mm-mm.
And so I I just feel like they could make so much money if they just had accurate and positive representation.
Bigger people were either seen as comedic relief
Mhm.
or a before.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's really sad, it really is. Um, oh gosh, yeah, I can go into that for so many hours.
I was like, "Go right ahead. Say what you gotta say."
It's
I know.
awful.
Yeah. It really is, and or, like, something that I've been noticing, especially with movies that use fat suits, like I talked about Shallow Hal this season, they also hire fat actors to, like, to show their bodies on the screen when
Yeah,
the main person is not in the
like
prosthetics.
close-ups and all.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not cool.
Ooh, my anger.
I'm like, just hire the fat person to, like, play the role. Let's
Just
just do that.
just hire a fat person. Like,
Yeah.
why is that difficult? What is that? That's not going to do anything to you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that because we lack so much positive representation, we like grab on to movies like this where I don't think it's like necessarily groundbreaking, but
No,
it's not horribly fat phobic.
no, no, and it actually was quite progressive for its time.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think for like him showing as commitment issues, that's normal.
Mhm.
Especially I hate to say it, a lot of men, women, we all have commitment issues usually. But showing him as a bum was a little too much, I think. Showing
Yeah.
him that he was like a complete slob, yet everyone else that wasn't a bigger person was tidy and neat and clean and had their shit together.
Yeah. I wonder if that was still part of the character prior to John Candy
I
being
wanted to.
cast in the role. Because, of course, if we had seen, like, because I know Robin Williams was someone that was considered. If we had
Really?
seen Robin, yeah, in that role, like, I don't think we would have thought twice about him, being like a slob.
No.
Which is also why I I commend John Hughes for writing a character that wasn't immediately supposed to be given to a fat person and giving it to them and then not completely making the whole premise about their body.
Yes, no, oh my gosh, absolutely. It's showing that like, hey, they're big, who cares?
Yeah.
We're normal people just like everyone else. We're
Yeah.
not second class citizens.
We all have eyes. We all see that we're bigger. We don't need to poke like fun at it. There's
I have
enough
a
of
mirror right
that.
in front of me.
Yeah. There's enough of that in the media. We got it. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much.
You guys could never make another movie making fun of a fat person, and there would still be too much media out there making fun of fat people.
It was expected to be funny, and it was funny, with the comedic relief, but there was nearly no substance to his
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
And like you said, like I had no idea that it wasn't written originally for a fat person.
Hmm.
So honestly, that changes my mind completely, which is why I said I was torn in the beginning because it's very but yeah, there was really no substance to the writing for him other than being a hero to Tia.
Yeah, and torturing her endlessly with
Yeah,
that one boy.
and Bug.
Yes.
That
Bug,
was
yeah, that's
very
his name.
satisfying though.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish more things like that happened in real life, to be
Me
honest.
too. I wish people were like that more.
But yeah, I can kind of agree with that. This is definitely a movie that I'm not like dying to go rewatch. It
Mm.
was just okay. Like, nah,
Like I could see it one time and I'm like, okay, it was funny, had some moments, I'm done.
yeah. This is my second time seeing it in my lifetime. I watched it like a year or two ago for the first time. And because I had a goal to try and watch as many John Hughes movies as I could, and I still have more to go, but uh I watched it and it was what it was.
What were your initial thoughts when you first saw it? I'm really curious.
I wasn't looking at it through the lens of fat representation.
Right.
I've definitely, having started this podcast and trying to make content that empowers myself and other fat people, I have noticed myself watching media more closely and
Yeah.
like listening and looking for those things. So I'd say the first time I watched it, I probably was just like, that's the movie. Like, um, I didn't have any like strong
Like
feelings about it.
notions. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And I am really glad that this podcast has given me the ability to look at media in a more like critical way, because I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like as consumers we're just very passive and we just take what we can get, especially when representation is so like slim pickings. So, yeah.
Well said. No, honestly. Um, it is a blessing and a curse. Once I got into the whole body positive movement, and really started like feeling myself, like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm gorgeous too. I'm worthy too. All bodies are worthy. Um, I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Like everywhere I look, everywhere I see, I just see representation, and it's just like the wheels are spinning.
Mhm.
So it's like a blessing and a curse. I kind of wish I can go back to the naivety of it all a
Yeah.
little bit.
There's a reason why people say ignorance is bliss sometimes.
It's
I
so
definitely
bliss.
understand that. Yeah, I and then see, the thing is, but you also wouldn't go back because
No,
the things were still happening, you just weren't aware of them and you weren't able
exactly.
to make an impact, and now we can. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
have you seen very many John Candy movies?
Not too many. Rest in peace, John Candy.
Yeah. I've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, and then I saw him, he was in National Lampoon Vacation, like one of
Briefly.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he was a security guard or something.
Yeah, like a amusement park. That movie
Yeah.
was so horrible. I've like blocked most of it out of my brain. I did not like it. I
I
like
like I like Christmas Vacation. I will
Same.
say.
I was like, "Oh, I like Christmas Vacation. If it's anything like that, I'll probably enjoy this too." No, it was it so one of my least favorite scenes in Christmas Vacation is the nipple scene or whatever, when he's like looking at the lingerie and he's like nippy nipple whatever. I always skip over that. And I feel like the the vacation movie was literally that on like steroids for most of the movie. And so I was like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
into
I
it.
hate how like he was thinking of other women when he had like a hot rod of a wife.
I know. She put up with all of his bullshit. I was
Yeah.
like, "You have a keeper.
Yeah.
You
Like
better
she's
watch yourself."
hot. Like, can I have her? Like,
Exactly. Yes. Justice for Ellen is her name, right?
yeah. Justice
Yeah,
for Ellen.
absolutely. But so he's been in movies like that. I know that in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, he's like the funnier or dumber one.
Yeah.
He Yeah. So I think it's a similar character, just
Yeah,
maybe
he's
more
very good at
exaggerated.
playing those type of characters, and I think he enjoys it,
Mhm.
because he takes it and he takes the role and he just blows it up, you know what I mean? He,
Yeah.
like, rolls with it, and I think that's why everyone loved him so much.
Mhm.
I loved John Candy growing up.
It also has me torn. I feel a similar way with Melissa McCarthy, where some of the roles perpetuate that stereotypes, but at the same time, she is a comedian. And
Yeah.
like she's done other things. Like I love her in Can You Ever Forgive Me? That's a
Mhm.
more serious role. So good. But like her niche is those comedic roles. And so I'm like, especially with her being so popular, I'm like, you could really just like break out the box and redefine like fat representation, but she's happy playing those roles, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't know. I'm torn on that with people like that.
I also want to know their own thoughts personally. It's like, do they really enjoy these roles, or do they only do the roles because that's all that's offered to them?
I think maybe initially, but then the fact that she's like, I would argue she's one of the most successful
Oh,
fat
absolutely.
actresses. And she's like she like produces some of them and writes some of them and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Or what you say could be true. Like she knows that that will be successful. So she just keeps doing the same things.
Yeah. We'll never
So
know unless we can get it straight from the source, I guess, right?
yeah. Yes. So I do struggle with that kind of because I'm like,
Yeah.
do what you want to do, but also like, is this what you want to do?
Yeah. It's like,
So
is this really benefiting the fat society? Like, truly,
mhm,
like, is it really benefiting us, as a whole? But at the same time, it's like we all have to make a living. We all have to,
mhm.
we have families to feed, food to put on the table. And it's just like, so torn.
And it can also be a lot of pressure when you represent underrepresented groups and you
Right.
feel like you have to be like the spokesperson
Yeah, like
for
I'm the Mary of
yeah. So I wouldn't want to like be that sole
I
spokesperson
wouldn't want that pressure.
no.
No.
And because there are so few fat actresses that are successful because Hollywood doesn't want to cast them,
No.
um, she probably feels a lot of that pressure.
Oh, I
So,
feel it personally, especially as a model. I'm not even signed yet. It has been a whirlwind trying to get signed.
mhm.
Trying, people are like, oh, you're not marketable enough, or oh, we're not really looking for someone of your size.
I'm like, what do you mean not marketable? People like me are dying to see people like
I
you,
know.
like on a billboard in commercials. Like,
I
that's such a BS answer
I
for
know
them
it
to
is a
give.
BS answer, and all I can do is just nod my head and be like, "Well, thank you so much for the feedback. I'm going to keep looking."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not gonna change anything, and I'll just look somewhere else. Thank
yeah,
you.
like I'm going to keep working with photographers. I'm going to keep putting myself out there, and you can just kiss my ass,
Yeah, but in a professional way because I
in a
might need
professional
to work
way.
with you later on.
Yeah, because you don't want to burn bridges.
Yeah, that's the worst part is you just have to sit there and be like, uh-huh, uh-huh, and in your
You have
head
to
you're like,
take it.
fuck you. Screw you. I don't yeah. That would am not in the modeling world. I just like create my own content.
Yeah,
So I don't do like that part professionally, but I can just imagine that it is difficult.
it's difficult for anyone, I would say, especially in the modeling industry. For some, it comes quite easy, and I think it's just
Hmm.
who and networking.
Yeah.
But also
Nepotism.
it's difficult.
Yeah. Nepotism.
Yep. Nepo
Unfortunately,
baby.
yeah, I'm not a nepo baby,
I'm
so
not either.
that's why we have to keep chugging along.
We gotta claw our way up.
Yeah, exactly. Since we were talking about how hard it is to get jobs. I don't know when John Candy started being popular, but
Good
let's see.
question.
Candy he became a member of Toronto's branch of the Second City in 1972. He gained wide North American popularity when he became a cast member on the influential Edmonton show variety show Second City Television.
Yeah, he's from Canada. He's Canadian.
Oh yeah,
Isn't that cool?
yes, that explains a lot. He
It does
definitely
explain a lot.
he definitely gives. Oh, I forgot about another movie that I've seen him in, Spaceballs.
You know what? I'd never seen it.
I haven't seen it in like since I was a kid. My dad was obsessed with Star Wars, and I'm sure, much to my mother's dismay, showed us Spaceballs too, because it is not exactly appropriate for little kids, but yeah, we
Oh,
watched it.
it was the 90s and early thousands. I've seen like Bad Girls Club, all that stuff with my mom.
So I've never heard of that variety show. I'm gonna
Mm.
guess it's mainly probably was streamed in Canada and doesn't exist anymore. Um,
I know he
but
was on SNL.
was he a cast member?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know that he did a little bit of SNL, I'm pretty sure.
No, he just hosted a few times.
Okay, I know he was part of it somehow. I didn't know if he's a cast, though.
I think it looks like he was offered to be a cast member, but he wanted to stay on the variety show that he was
Hmm.
on. So, interesting career choice. I mean, do what makes you happy, though.
No, really, though,
You don't have
honestly.
to be on SNL. He
And he
obviously
lived
still
a
had a very successful career.
he did, and he lived a very short life, so I'm really glad he did what he wanted.
And I'm sure that is also a thing people talk about. Because how did he pass
Heart
away?
attack.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he's fat. So he died of a heart attack.
I know. I was actually wondering if we were going to talk about that, but I didn't know if it was too taboo. But yeah,
No, we don't talk
honestly,
about it.
you know how like if you're fat, you must have a bunch of medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
So when he passed away from a heart attack, I remember it too because my mom was really sad about it. She's like a
Later.
movie fan, music person. She loves like the media.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my mom blasts rock and roll music 24/7, and she blasts old 80s, 90s movies. And anytime I would see anything with John Candy, she'd be like, "I'm so sad he passed away," and I'm like, "He passed away."
Honestly, that's kind of how I am about Robin Williams.
Oh my gosh, I
I
know.
Every time I watch a movie of his, I just have a brief moment where I'm like, he's not around anymore.
I know, it's so sad. I feel so bad for the family too.
Yes, his whole thing was so complicated, and then I'm sure with the media saying like it was because of substance abuse and things like that, which was not true. I'm sure that was very frustrating and hurtful to the family. Not
Oh
cool.
man, the media sucks.
Yes. It can be used for good, but is often used for evil.
Yeah, or to make money. Really, it's all about money.
It really is. And that's why I'm saying cast more accurate people and
Hashtag cast more bigger bodies.
yeah, absolutely cast more bigger bodies, cast disabled bodies, cast
Oh my gosh, yes.
all the things.
POC,
Yes. There's
like diversity, diversify.
literally anyone that's not a super buff straight white man or a super skinny straight white woman.
Yeah.
Just broaden your horizons.
Like, come on, people. It's not that difficult.
No, because like this is Hollywood's been around for what, almost 100 years, or maybe like just a little bit over 100 years, and we're still not.
Struggling.
Yeah, we're still not casting accurate like bodies, and we're not being inclusive enough. And I feel like maybe it's just because I care so much about like people and them being seen, like not just fat people but everyone, and I am like, I feel like it's not that hard. I really just feel like
No,
they
you're not alone. Trust me, you're not alone. I feel the same way. My friends feel the same way. My family feel the same way. I mean, I have family that are like super skinny, thin,
mm,
slender, however you want to name it.
yeah,
But they feel the same way too. They're like, yeah, there's not enough representation.
yeah,
It's all about money. And like when I said earlier about marketability, um, they believe truly, a lot of people that do castings,
mhm,
that it won't bring enough money if people see someone who is bigger, because those that are louder always are hateful.
yeah, and they also want, which is, this is horrible but I think very true, they want us to see unrealistic like expectations, like the perfect body or the perfect person, and they want us to feel like if we buy that product, we can achieve that when it's not like true. Like I don't even know. Like a perfume is not gonna make me look like, I don't know, Miley Cyrus. Like
I
not
wish.
gonna happen. Um, but I mean our brains are hardwired to be like, if I buy this product, then this is gonna happen and I'm gonna look like this and I'm gonna be
Right.
beautiful. And so I think that's probably the main reason why they do
And
it is
sponsors.
yeah. It brings in more money because people want to look like that person.
Right.
And yeah.
And
I
sponsorships too. A lot of companies won't work or give their money to a film or a set or photographers. It's
mm,
it's
I didn't
quite.
even think about that
This could be a
being
whole other
an issue.
podcast, truly talking about this type of stuff because truly it is quite messed up.
Wow, I didn't even think about like outside sponsors other than the studios.
Like funders, people that
Yeah.
back up things. A lot of times
Mhm.
they'll back out if they don't do exactly what they want or exactly what they want to see.
Yeah. Or if there's not like a big name, and right now the most of the big names are thinner body people. So
Hmm.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense that you
Hmm.
mentioned.
We do is say that sucks and just hope for the best.
Yeah. Say that sucks, talk about it. I don't know. That's it for right now.
You know what? Talking about it at least and putting ourselves out there is the first step. It really is.
So, negative or positive fat representation?
Stop. I know. That's why I said I'm so torn. Oh gosh. You know what? I'm gonna say it's positive.
Same.
I'm gonna
I
say positive. I want to say negative just because I just the way I look at things, a
mhm,
little bit. But truly, the whole movie is positive. It shows that he has women after him, regardless of his size.
mhm.
He went from commitment issues to then being able to commit. He's a hero. He's an amazing person. Like he's
He's the
truly a
lead.
father figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it is positive. I think there are a couple things that could have been done better, but I also think that with pretty much any piece of media, like nothing is absolutely perfect.
No.
Um, but I think overall, like you said, he's the hero in the story. He's the lead. He isn't like unlovable by women. Yeah, I just think it's a pretty good character, especially for the 80s. Like that's probably better.
Especially for the 80s.
That's probably better representation than I've seen in the so far in the movies I've watched from
Yeah.
the 2000s, especially with men.
Yeah.
I I have The Whale on my list, and I am not looking forward to watching that. I don't know if you've
You
seen
know
it.
what? I refuse to watch it because I feel like I'm gonna have so many. But at the same time, I love, and I forgot his name. I love the
Oh yeah.
guy,
Uh,
Brendan Fraser.
yeah.
I love him. Like he is an amazing person. So at the
And
same time, it's like I want to watch it and to support, but at the same time, I'm like,
I don't think that his intentions were malicious.
no,
Like, do I really want to risk watching it? I would do it for the podcast, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I should work on me a little bit more before I watch something like that.
very well put. Honestly, I mean, truly, I'm like that with a lot of movies or shows or TV or anything. Am I in the right mindset to watch this? Is really the
Mhm.
question. Even if it's something silly, it's
Yeah.
like, am I in the mood? Am I in the right mindset? Like, can I just read a synopsis about it and just get it over with? Like at least about 10 movies that I've been meaning to see that I just watched on TikTok within 5 minutes and I'm good.
Our final verdict is positive. Uh,
Positive.
if you guys have other thoughts or, you're feel free to disagree. This is just solely opinion based on how we feel
Absolutely.
about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments. But I think that is all for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first podcast, so I was really excited. I'm excited.
Do you want to plug any social media or anything that you're doing right now?
Oh yeah, shameless plugs. Okay, here we go. Please follow me, Rihanna Colbert, Instagram. I also have a TikTok that is doing terrible, so follow me there too if you want. Same username, Rihanna Colbert. I also have a poetry book that is about body positivity and growing up in a bigger body. With
Mhm.
there is warning, self harm, and sexualness in there, but it's called The Poster Child. So if you want to check that out.
Yes, definitely. I will also have to check it out. Thank you all for watching. If you like this episode, please like it, share it, rate us 5 stars. You can follow the podcast on TikTok at bbb.thepodcast and Instagram at bbb.podcast. You can follow me, your host, on all social medias at Carolina Howie. And until next time, stay fat and fabulous. Bye.